Like an intruder, the Benghazi scandal has now arrived at the door of the White House and been admitted in attendance. ABC News reports that it was not the State Department or the intelligence community that edited the talking points that were ultimately used by Hillary, Susan Rice, and the president, but was the White House itself. And the Jay Carney, the White House press secretary, tried to slough everything off by saying that these talking points originated from the intelligence communities. They represent the community's best assessments of what they thought happened. The White House and the State Department have made clear that the single adjustment that was made to those talking points by either of those two institutions were changing the words consulate to diplomatic facility because consulate was inappropriate. He said that on November 28th, 2012. It's now laughable that he said that. The fact of the matter is that this entire paragraph I'm about to read you was deleted from the talking points from the communications memo of the intelligence community and was deleted by the White House, according to ABC News. Quote, "The agency has produced numerous pieces on the threat of extremists linked to al-Qaeda in the Benghazi and eastern Libya. These noted that since April, there have been at least 5 other attacks against foreign interests in Benghazi by unidentified assailants, including the June attack against the British ambassador's convoy. We cannot rule out the individuals as being previously surveilled the U.S. facilities, also contributing to the efficacy of the attacks. And they also specifically deleted any mention of al-Qaeda and any mention of Ansar al-Sharia, the group that's affiliated with al-Qaeda." So these were the changes that were made in the talking points and in the intelligence report by the White House. Now, it still is a mystery how the movie appeared in the initial intelligence reports, because none of the reports from Hicks on the ground in Libya mention that. But now we have that somebody in the White House made these changes. And it's an interesting question as to who. My bet is Tom Donilon, the National Security Advisor, who's really much more of a political spin operative than he is a diplomat or a foreign policy expert. But eventually, this thing is getting closer and closer to the president. We now have, and we also still have the question of who ordered the troops to stand down that were going to relieve the people in the embassy. Now, a lot of people have wondered why the troops did stand down, why they were ordered to. What was Obama's interest in not rescuing these diplomatic people? And I have a clear perspective on that. Obama was going to get reelected president only if everybody in his political base showed up and voted for him. And remember, this guy was initially a peace candidate. That's how he got the Democratic nomination. He was opposed to the Iraq War. Hillary was for it. And that was how he won the primaries. And he couldn't go far from that peace constituency and still hope to get their votes. The peaceniks in the Democratic Party were upset by the intervention in Libya. They didn't want another war. And they loved it when Obama said in his second inaugural that security doesn't mean perpetual war. And when they accepted the Libyan involvement, because no Americans were killed, and it ended successfully. But I can imagine that Obama sat with Panetta, the Joint Chiefs, an hour and a half after this attack began, and said, "I don't want to get involved in a war in Benghazi. I don't want American troops sent in there on the ground, exchanging fire, taking casualties. I don't want that." And I would imagine that that led to an excess of caution in the specific judgment as to whether to deploy these specific units or not. Whether to deploy those units might not reach up to the presidential level, but the orientation of what our posture should be clearly came from the president, and clearly it reflected a policy of no engagement and minimizing our presence on the ground for political reasons. Thanks a lot for watching.